Forget everything you thought you knew about masculine and feminine. In this video, we are going to revisit an ancient psychological concept, Jung's Anima and Animus, and reveal why. Embracing your inner opposite is not just a matter of self-help, but is essential for navigating the complexities of modern life. Get ready to discover the missing piece of your authentic self. We live in a time of deep spirituality and relentless searching, yet we often feel an emptiness we cannot explain. What if this emptiness were, in fact, the absence of a part of you that has been silenced by the world? In the flow of our personal development journey, we are frequently taught to choose a side, to fit into molds that fragment our soul. But the spiritual truth is that we are beings of wholeness. As the poet Rumi once said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." To achieve true spiritual awakening, we need to reintegrate what has been divided. There is a silent war happening inside many of us, a restlessness born when our psyche is out of balance. Carl Jung, in his immense wisdom, introduced us to the anima and animus not as mere concepts from a distant past, but as living guides for the challenges of 2026. The anima represents the feminine energy in a man's unconscious, while the animus is the masculine force within a woman. However, we must go beyond gender stereotypes. We are not talking about social behavior, but about vital energies. In Buddhism, we understand impermanence and non-duality. The inner masculine and feminine are like Yin and Yang, forces that do not exclude each other, but complete each other so that life can flow. When we ignore these energies, we become like trees trying to grow only to one side, destined to fall under the weight of their own imbalance. Real presence requires us to recognize that within every strength there is a softness, and within every intuition there is a logical structure waiting to be awakened. But if this dance between the sun and the moon is so natural to our soul, why do we feel so divided? The answer lies not in our essence, but in the fences the world has built around us, silencing the rhythm of our truth to mold us into a pattern that does not belong to us. From a very early age, we are placed into boxes. There is the man box, where vulnerability is seen as weakness, and the woman box, where assertiveness is often labeled negatively. This cultural conditioning represses our true inner spectrum, creating a society of fragmented and lonely people. The result of this repression is visible all around us: professional burnout, identity crises, and a social polarization that is nothing more than a reflection of our internal disharmony. In the digital age, this pain is amplified by social media, which sells us an external perfection while our soul cries out for spiritual truth. As Stoic philosophy teaches us, emotional lucidity begins when we stop trying to meet the world's expectations and start listening to our inner voice. Collective healing is only possible when each individual decides to break the bars of this invisible box and embrace their own complexity. Breaking these bars, however, requires more than just willpower. It requires the courage to look into the mirror of the soul and give a name to what has been forgotten. It is in this honest look that we begin to identify the hidden faces of our own strength and our own sensitivity. For a man, integrating the anima means reclaiming emotional intelligence, intuition, and depth in relationships, parts that were often targets of shame or disregard. For a woman, integrating the animus is about giving a voice to her assertiveness, independent reasoning, and her power to act in the world without feeling like she is losing her essence. Look at your daily life. How many times have you silenced an intuition for fear of appearing irrational? Or how many times have you stopped fighting for something because you believed you didn't have the necessary strength? These are the whispers of your inner opposite trying to emerge from the shadow. Self-knowledge is not about becoming a different person, but about allowing all parts of you to have a seat at the table. It is like a mirror that, when cleaned of the dust of prejudice, reveals a face much richer and more powerful than we ever imagined. Yet, recognizing these parts is only the first step of the journey. For knowledge to become wisdom and theory to become healing, We need to transform insight into presence, building practical bridges that allow these energies to walk hand in hand in our daily lives. How, then, do we unite what has been separated? The path begins with shadow work, in a gentle and compassionate way. We don't need magical transformations, but consistent micro-transformations. Start by observing your dreams and your creative expressions. They are the direct language of your unconscious. Another powerful bridge is the cultivation of conscious relationships. We often project onto others the anima or animus that we do not accept in ourselves. When you integrate these energies, your connections stop being based on lack and start being based on fulfillment. The practice of inner silence is fundamental in this process. In silence, the voices of social conditioning lose their power, and the wisdom of the archetypes can finally be heard. It is in the fertile void that the seed of our wholeness begins to bloom. And when this seed finally breaks through the shell, it seeks not just balance, but the freedom to be everything it is. The blossoming of this integration reveals a new way of existing, where the soul no longer needs to hide behind masks, but can finally breathe in its most sacred and whole form. In this final stretch of our reflection, we understand that the goal is not just to achieve a static balance, but rather to cultivate fluidity. The holistic human being of the 21st century is one who knows how to be strong when the moment demands structure and gentle when the moment asks for nurturing. This adaptability between internal energies makes us resilient in an increasingly complex world. Living authentically is the greatest act of rebellion and love we can offer to existence. By healing our internal divide, we contribute to an inner transformation that is reflected throughout society. Remember, your biology responds to your spirituality. When you allow yourself to be whole, every cell in your body celebrates the truth of who you really are. We have reached the resonance point of our journey. What if the feeling of being out of place that you feel today is, in fact, your soul's call for you to stop fighting against your own nature? Symbolic practice. Throughout your day today, choose a moment for contemplation. Bring to mind a quality you have always admired in others, but never allowed yourself to live out. It could be strength, sweetness, logic, or intuition. Breathe deeply and feel this energy taking up space within your chest. Silently say to yourself, "I give permission for you to also dwell within me." If these words touched something inside you, perhaps it is time to take one more step on this path of reconnecting with your inner truth. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue receiving content that nourishes the soul with presence and authenticity. Share in the comments what resonated with your heart. Your story might be the mirror someone else needed to find. If you are looking for a safe haven, know that our community is the sanctuary where fertile silence is shared and deepened. Enjoy the channel's posts. And to continue expanding this field of presence, we suggest the video pinned in the card. Peace and light.